Hi there, it's me again. Find a new topic to share with the community. It's a big process, like thinking process for me to thinking about what to share. That's a lot of like life scenarios in managing finance. Um, and suddenly I realized that people usually call finance management app like budgeting app, and budgeting actually it's quite like critical and important for lots of people. We always say Fina, it's so special, it's unique, and it's so powerful. Like how Fina is, performs especially good in budgeting. So I think this topic is very common, and I would like to talk about it. So after some thinking, I say, hey, let's just pick some simple concept today. Let's just talk about budget. All right. Overall, I think most of the people understand what a budget is. Budget is basically helping us to plan how we're going to spend. Right. This is very, very not unofficial. Not. It is unofficial definition, but I just want simplified, concept like how we think about it. Um, so you can think about it. You need some number to understand like this month in any specific category or any specific merchant. No matter what kind of dimension you're looking into your spending pattern or your future expense, you want to set a limit there. I think that's generally what the budget is. So back to the questions originally we asked, like how Fina makes it different. Um, I will show you example later. So keep with the video if you can. I want to give you the step by step of some great stuff we are capable to do, and I promise you, none of our other apps can do this. That's why we always like bragging about like why Fina is so unique and special, right? So the things I'm trying to demonstrate today is dynamic budgeting. I'm pretty sure nearly none of other apps can do, but maybe there's one or two. But Fina is doing super well. First, I want to introduce this template thing because we actually have a lot of templates, as you may already know that. In the budget tag, like under the budget tag, we have quite a lot of budget related templates. Just like one quick overview, go through in all of them and just like get some basic ideas. And then let's just like pick one or two and just like dive into them, how we build those things. So you can learn the skills and like apply those things to your own, building experience, right? So first, let's look at this. This one is zero-based budgeting. Zero-based budgeting, basically you allocating your total income into a few buckets, like a 50% bucket, 30% bucket, 20% bucket. No matter how you going to define them, but here we have a link here which is called F3 framework, fixed, flex, and future. Um, you allocate 50% expenses on all fixed month by month operation, like for your family or whatever. Let's assume this is personal finance, right? Of course, Fina can be used for your business as well. And then 30% is for flex spending. If you don't have enough, then shrink a little bit. And then your future is basically you save some money for future purpose. So that's why we are building this kind of like buckets, right? First bucket, second bucket, third bucket, and you understand how much allowance you have for each, and then you based on that you do your budget here, right? And this is like a total yeah, category, right? Breakdown. This is the group level, and you can expand that, right? So you can see what are you going to like spend for each. As you can see, the numbers are matched there. So this is a very, very simple menu, like kind of like a working sheet for you to adopt this concept. So you can see quite a lot of people use it. That's good. That's great. Let's look at the next one. saving tracker. It's not really budgeting, but it's just like budgeting concept means I want to keep tracking like how much I'm going to, save. As you can see here, I believe is some formula. We have some, ratio for total income is some number, and I want to save some ratio of, from future university for my children or whatever, the percentage here, 50% of this pretty high, right? And here you can see 80% for new MacBook. I mean, you can copy paste all these blocks again and again and again, and just quick tracking all the life goals you have. So this is like, we call it saving tracker. And if you find it useful, you can just build a scenario around it, right? Just these are all documents. Again, I mean, for any new people who don't understand, this is like documents. You can easily slash, add a new block, or copy paste the existing block. Get build your own scenarios. We're going to run through a demo again. Dynamic budgeting is the main template we're going to talk about today, because this one is really demonstrating the flexibilities of how Fina are differentiated from others. So I leave it later. Let's just quickly go through some of the others. Advanced budgeting. It's just like some advanced techniques, like for example, like full category breakdown budgeting, income by category budgeting. You budget income. I mean, that's an interesting concept. Who does it? Then you see a few different definitions for you: fixed expense, variable expense tracking, different things, and you have time chart to look at each category. That's quite a lot of breakdown. I don't know if this is useful actually, to be honest, but if your category is simple, just a few items, this one makes a lot more sense. And then you have accumulated the chart to understand so far from year beginning till today how much I have spent on those categories or on those metrics I defined, and then some others. All right, pretty common, just comprehensive. I guess that's why it's called advanced. Basic, I think it's just like similar thing, but simplified as just a single working sheet for you to budgeting any item. You can replicate this like for different timeline. Oh, actually we have that template talking about that later. So let's just go skip this and do that later. Categories and breakdown. This is focused on the category breakdowns, and you can see pretty similar to the advanced one, right? Yeah, I'm gonna skip this. This one looks pretty similar to the advanced one. Probably we should do some consultations. Yeah. Well, seeing Christian life, this is interesting. This is in the partnership, when we do the partnership with Pray.com, and they ask for us to build a template for them to specifically thinking about Christian life, like with some religion background and context, what they care about. So you can see here we break down into a few different sections. Interesting, so we actually put some quote there. So Bible quote, I mean, yeah. Total balance, total credit debt ratio, per you balance, I guess. Cash flow and budgets. Here's 0. I think that's like small bug. We may look at it later. Looks like there's some rendering of text information or whatever. It's not displayed correctly. Okay, anyways, cash flow and budget shows you, quickly show you current months, total income, total expense, and the net. Basically, just like put them together, and the net value. And then a simple breakdown for needs, so you have some filter for sure. These categories are all needs, right? And some other here, for example, a saving budget, saving for tax, how much I saved so far. You can define that, but right now here we don't have any saving. I mean, this is template. Wants budgeted monthly is basically just like compared to needs, right? Usually this is like essential things stuff, and this is more flexible. And you have arts transportation, most expense, like how much you allow them to do. And once you connect your data, this will show real progress, right? Wants budget yearly. Oh, actually I'm tracking for like yearly timeline, not just looking at the monthly. Monthly, I probably, focus on more day-to-day flexible items. But yearly, it's more about like planning for vacation, travel, like, buying yearly subscriptions for entertainment, those type of things. I mean, you can think about them. So gives us some, um, you know, ideas about how flexible you can, put the blocks in your view. Gifts is big part of Christian life. So how much you total give this year, like what is the percentage compared to your total income, just like so that you have a sense about whether you follow, the one tends rule, yeah. Categories on watch, yeah, it's basically just to highlight some categories you really focus on, right? This is like timeline for those selected categories, like rent bills, subscriptions, like what the expenses look like. And then, of course, you care about food and grocery expenses where you can customize them. Just click the click the block editing, and then you can. Yep. Overall spending trending. Okay, this is like normal timelines about your total expense for each month. I'm gonna skip that too now. Okay, we spent quite a lot of time on this since this is actually just telling you how much you can customize for specific context of your life. No matter you're from religion context, or you're from businessman context, or you're from non-profit organization, let's say, if you're part of that, right? You want to run through that, you can do that. Next, I think is quite interesting. Let me spend a little bit time on here. This is called budgeting with rollover. Fina is not really, design a specific budgeting mechanism because we want to give you flexibility for yourself to choose. So this is why we actually don't have this kind of concept called rollover, because we don't have budget, this kind of object or definitions in the system. Everything is defined by yourself. So this is why in this document, this one demonstrated, alternative way when people just like talking about, oh, I need a rollover, I need, something to build a macro view of my budgeting, like month by month, week by week, or whatever. I'm clearly telling you, I mean, you don't need that. You just need, better software like Fina to give you more broad view of how expense, happens. So that's why here you can see we can actually scope it into weekly view. I say this week, this is my allowance. Did I exceed in some categories? Did I not? But doesn't mean next week I'm doing the same thing. So what about my monthly view, right? My monthly view looks like very quite, not really, but quite different, because if weekly I have 1,000 allowance budget, and basically means monthly I have 4,000, right? So 1 month exceeding doesn't mean I exceed for the whole month. So I still feel comfortable, confident for that. So this one gives us a very, very good, sense about if you are planning for the long term, not for the short term, right? Not just the monthly, and you can even like scope it to the quarterly, so you can have more time to squeeze spending or change the plan, how to adjust the future, and to really make your final goal as this year, I'm really stay within my budget. And that's good enough, because this week I may be, feel really happy. I just want to spend a lot, but doesn't mean the whole year I'm going to exceed it, right? So this one actually gives you very, very flexible control too from, different time range. So you can look into it differently. So this, even though this is very simple template, just like 4 blocks, copy paste each other, set different timelines for each month, for the whole thing, right? This is like current week, this is current month, this is the current quarter, and this is the current year. So it gives you all the, the different views at a different level. Super, super useful, and super, super simple. Simple and useful comes together, right? So this is something that's why I feel very excited to just like emphasize on this one. And you can copy, the template, and do whatever you customize want. You probably doesn't want a quarter, you can delete that. You probably want to say, I want to see bi-monthly. Usually people don't know that, but I'm just saying you can, right? All right. Last section is dynamic budgeting, and this is the main things I want to focus today. And we already passed 50 minutes. Oh wow. All right. I'm trying to use in 5 to 10 minutes to explain this template and just to show you how this things works. So, what does dynamic budgeting mean? Dynamic budgeting means I don't want to enter those numbers one by one, say $1,000 for this month, $5,000 for next month, or $10,000 for the whole year. Those are manual numbers I need to look up. Can the system hook up the numbers I already have in the system? That's called dynamic budgeting. Dynamic budgeting means I'm going to reference some metrics number in the system I already have, or if it's not there, I can define that. So I can use that in my budget and I monitor how am I spending against that. Very, very cool, right? I mean, this is a lot of people asking. If you go through the finance forum, social groups, people keep constantly asking these kind of questions. My checking account is for cash flow. I have $10,000 sitting there, but every month my expending cannot exceed 30% of it. Is that great? I think it is. Another person asked, oh, my income is 8,000 per month, and I want to allocate 40% or 50% of my monthly income, as my budget allowance for fixed expense. Let's say this is what you want. And for a lot of people say, oh, my salary is fixed, so it doesn't matter. Because I know the number is 40% is 4,000, right? But for some other people, I run a lot of side hustles. I have business income, so I have LLC. I really have like fluctuating kind of incomes. This month I sleep a lot, so I make less money. Next month I only sleep 2 hours a day, so I make huge. Let's assume this is how it works, but in fact it is not. Okay, I'm not encouraging people to not sleep. All right, so you have very fluctuating income, and I want to use income to guide in my expense. Can I do that? Yes, dynamic budgeting actually helps you to keep on top of that, keep stay on top of that, right? So this example is doing what we just mentioned, those examples. So this template basically saying, hey, I want to specify a checking account. I have some money in there. I don't know how much that is, but I only allow my expense do not exceed 30% of it. I mean, you define what the number is. So let's look at this. The first step is basically we define a budget allowance for current months, right? I mean, you can, again, you can customize a time range for whatever you want. If you want to budget it for weekly, you can just come up with a number for week, right? 1%, 2%. Oh, sorry, that's too much, too less. Let's say 10%, for a week, right? So you can do that. So you can see here, we are define a number. Oh, actually, let me just open my own, account. So, all right. So basically here, as you can see, we have this and we want to make it to my account. Check imported page. So we can go into, go through the details. Loading time, can you be faster? Okay, all right. So here, let's see. We have imported this one. And let's focus on this editable page now. First step, what I'm doing here is basically I select my checking account. Even though I checked another one, I mean, it's flexible, it's up to you, right? I can just select this checking account. So I want to define a formula. This is a formula what I've just defined. But if I don't have it, can I just repeat the same thing? you can just like do this. I want a single number, which is, let's see, give you a bigger. I want to define a formula because I want 30% of my, and I can do say account balance, right? Please pay attention to those filters. Okay, so here basically I want to just select one account and I want to see account. So basically for current months, this is my account balance and I want to get a percentage, let's say constant metric, which is 0.3, like 30% as what we said. So now you can just simply do A times B, which is get the number at 4,782. And what it means is I'm going to use this number as my budget allowance because my budget is all expense. So just pay attention. I want to make this number as an outflow number. It's a little bit tricky, but yeah, just to make sure you notice that we already called it out here. Okay, just to make sure it's minus 0.3. But if you want to use this allowance for the income, then you use an inflow number, which is a positive number. Basically, inflow number, positive number, outflow number is negative number. Okay, so simple. I defined this number, and then to be able to reference this metric, I give it a name. I can just say my budget allowance for week or something, right? You can say weekly budget allowance. Let's just give this simple name. And then what you can do is basically you can add this to the page metrics for reference. Page metrics is kind of like library. Think about it as library. You define something, right? You define something and you save it there, and this name will become your reference. So we save it there. Let's save it there. Once you save it there, the editing will be gone because now you can add it in the pop-up to look at all the page metrics, which, like I said, is library, right? And you can just navigate everything to edit them. So I already defined in the page, so I don't need to edit them. This is what I defined. So great. So now, once you are using this, then you can basically just like your next page, you can just like simply reference it. Easy, right? Enable. Okay, so repeat this thing. I can also under the horizontal line, it's from the template, but above the horizontal line is something I'm trying to repeat, so I can show you how these things get created. So what we're going to do, we can just like directly go to expense by category, and I want to make it as full width because my current presentation is very small screen. Okay, great. And I do want to focus on the same thing, right? The same profile because I have multiple profiles. I have checking business and personal, so just let you know. So this each profile has different category setup. So this category setup is quite simple. And then what I need to do is basically I need to enable budgeting. Remember what I said? Enable the budgeting. Okay. So now I can let the budget to give me a guidance about do I manually set a value, which is constant value. I don't do that. So I can select a metric that is work for me. So I can select this one, what we just like say. So now you can see that we haven't allocated any, but the cap is this. This is a dynamic number, which is we just referenced. We say, hey, my budget is this metric I just defined. It can change. It may change anytime, but right now you can see it's calculated the number for you automatically, right? And every time it's automatically updated itself, so you can see whether your number expense changes, other things are changes accordingly. So that's the concept. So basically we can just start to allocate 3,000, and it tells you you still have like 2,300 remaining. So like this is 500, and this is 1,000, and then this one, let me just give you 500, and this one I give you 500, and dong, the alert tells you 117.82 exceeded because you allocated too much. Please adjust. Oh, I cannot allocate too much because this is the top, the cap I have, right? Set the cap. So I'm going to change this to 200. Again, I'm under the budgeting now, so I still have like 182, so I can allocate it 182.18 to be exact. So I just want to show you this is remaining 0 and everything is allocated 100% of each. So that's the way how it works. And simply, if I delete this, right, for demonstrating purpose, let me just like come up with a total expense, and I want to use in, okay, just look at this. And then what I want to do is I want to budget in this, and I do use this one as my monthly budget, whatever. Weekly budget. Oh, I don't use this. Okay, cool. All right, so you can see here, here we actually, because this one is defined for that profile, so you can see we can actually get the dynamic value. So you can see based on all definitions for the budget, this one actually is tells you exactly how much is remaining. So this is great. And then we can select different views, and you can see everything follows. Like number still follows. If I do weekly, I think it's the similar thing, right? Yeah, because even I called it weekly, I didn't change the timeline. Time it's still monthly, so just make sure I made a mistake there. Okay, just naming thing just for demonstration purpose, like this one. So just want to demonstrate this one, and also, yeah, other graph visuals are, follows the same pattern. So basically, you just like in your budget setting, just select the one that will work for you. All right, I think this is enough. The video is already like nearly 30 minutes, definitely exceeding what I was expected to, but I hope, the whole thing, the whole demonstration showed you the capacity of how flexible you can, use Fina to budget and stay on top of all the personalized scenarios you want to build using Fina metrics, page metrics for think about page metrics library, block visual, and Fina document to craft your own personalized scenario. Thank you so much. Hope you like it. See you next time.